Hello, welcome to Life on Board Amy Jo, and yes, this time Chris is with me.
Yeah, but I'm only here for the hellos and the goodbyes this time, as himself here has decided to cruise Amy Jo while I'm at work.
Yes, while we've been cruising, we've actually brought Amy Jo up to the Chester. We've got some moorings here that we really like, and this time I've been cruising in company with Captain Gary Phillips of Chugabug. So those of you that follow his blog, I have to apologise to you. You're going to see a lot of the same things in our vlog that Gary's done in his vlog, but you'll see them from a different angle, so it's not too bad. So we hope you enjoy the vlog. Well, we've left our Waverton moorings now, and we're heading on. Hopefully going to get towards Chester. Not quite sure where we're going to moor up. I'm going to stop for water first, and I'm going to wait for Chugabug to come along, and then when Chugabug joins me, we're going to start the journey. I'm not going to let on because I don't want to spoil Gary's thunder, but I'll be joining Gary on his next trip. Smudge in his usual position up on deck, forward lookout. He loves it up there. He cruises there all the time. While we're going along, he sits up there keeping a lookout for us. Just behind these bushes is a lovely little caravan site. Just catch a glimpse of it going through by the gate there. It's such a shame that caravan sites can't open at the moment. But hey ho, hopefully after the 4th of July things will enable them to take it on. But I just love being in this stretch of the canal. It could be anywhere in the country. Even Smudge quite likes sitting there watching. Morning. Morning. Just going past another of our favourite moorings here at the Cheshire Cat. During lockdown we spent 2 months on this location, and very grateful to the landlord Chris, who allowed us to fill up with water from the pub and allowed us to dispose of all our rubbish in his bins. So we're very grateful to Chris for that, and it's another pub I would highly recommend if you're in the area when it opens to go in and have a meal. The food in there is excellent. The pub was originally home to 2 elderly ladies, spinsters, sisters, and when one of them died it became too much for the other to look after. So she sold it to the brewery, who then converted it into the pub we know today. We're just coming through the outskirts of what is now the village of Christleton. The main part of the village is behind these houses, and this is leading up towards Chester. And just across the way on this side, behind these new houses which have gone up, is the busy A41, main trunk road from Chester down towards Birmingham. Now, Gary and I were discussing the name of this boat. If anybody can understand what that means, I'd love to know if you can put it in the comments, please. It clearly means something, but we have no idea. And this used to be called the Old Trooper. It was a restaurant. When Chris and I first moved up here, it was absolutely superb. Sadly now it's closed, and the last I've heard, it's going to be converted into apartments, yet more apartments. Just coming through the bridge, you remember that Gary and I Gary sheltered under in the pouring rain. I'm having a bit better luck today, and just over there is the water point where I'm heading for. We're now stopped in exactly the same place that we did the other day with Chugabug, and it's Amy Jo's turn this time. Filling up the water, we are quite low, so this is going to take probably about half an hour, I would think, to fill the tank. Last time was very quick, although there is good pressure on this one, by the way. So if you're up here and you need water, this is actually a good point to fill up with. As you can see, the hose, new hose actually, is quite taut, which means there's plenty of pressure. Letting Smudge stretch his legs while we're filling up as well. He likes it round here, he can have a good wander round. So, and Gary will be joining me very shortly, I suspect. Yeah. There's Gary coming into more up. He's just come up from Tattenhall, so we've been waiting for him. Setting off now for our first lock of the day, Christleton Lock, and it's just round the corner after that far bridge. Well, first lock on our way down. Ian's officiating up there as lock wheeler for us today. Gary's in alongside with Chugabugs. Sitting there he is.
Good morning.
There's the two boys. And the noisy so-and-so's up on the roof still. Here comes the man of the day.
Smiling.
Ian's doing a good job there. Looks like this lock's empty too. So Ian's just starting to fill it for us. We're going to hover here till the lock's full and then we'll go in. And Gary is hovering back up there for a bit.
Be interesting.
This will be interesting. There's me filming Gary, who's filming me coming in the lock. So, second of the locks, Greenfield Lock. Gary coming in expertly there. Little touch of bow thruster to avoid hitting me. Not that he'd hit me anyway, but...
Hello, Mr. Burton. What's he saying you in? Hey, you're getting quite covered. You getting about? I do get about a bit, yeah. You got the kettle on, Steve?
Bit of a problem with the lock gate not opening fully on this one. I've had to let Gary go first. This lock is known as chemistry lock, because years ago, where the water treatment works used to be a chemical factory. The water tower there now serves the city, also served the chemical works that was here. And the cottages just below the lock in the distance there are there for the workers of the chemical works. Unfortunately, the chemical works have been closed for many a year now, but the cottages are still there, they're still being lived in. So that's the water tower at the base of the water treatment works. And I mentioned earlier, there's these lovely little cottages. Could almost retire to one of them. Lovely little places. Nice and peaceful here, I should imagine too. Not too much road traffic or city noise being out here. Look at that, lovely little garden. Beautifully kept. bit closer to the tower, you can always admire the architecture of this thing. When the Victorians built things, they didn't just build them plain, they gave them character. And the mouldings and architecture on that. Beautiful piece of work, even though it's only a water tower. These days it also serves as a mobile phone tower too. Spoils it somewhat, but hey ho, that's progress for you. Now approaching our last lock of the day, Hall Lane lock, and you can see the steam mill in the distance, which signifies the town centre. We're probably about 15-20 minutes away now before we moor up. Ian's already there, he's just getting it ready for us. And then this will be the last run into Chester. There was singing paddle on this one. You joining us for a coffee afterwards, Ian?
No, I'll make my way home now. I'll see you again.
Alright mate, well thanks ever so much. Appreciate your help.
Catch you on the way back.
Yeah.
I just want to take a moment at this point to thank Ian, this gentleman. He worked extremely hard to get us through the 5 locks into Chester, and I have to say we are extremely grateful for his help, and he has volunteered to help us on the way back. So to you personally, Ian, if you're watching this, thank you so much, my friend. You made our day a lot easier by having you there. Thank you again.
Coming into Chester proper now. These all new apartments went up about 10 years ago. It was always a wasteland before then. Lots of new development going on in Chester at the moment. And a nod to the past amongst all the modern development. This sculpture here is remembering the old working boat days. As you can see, the shape of the tillers. Signs of more new development going up, more Swish apartments on the canal site. This on the site of the old lead works. The tower you can see there is a lead shot tower. They used to make lead shot for the muskets many years ago. Molten lava would be dropped from the top of the tower, and by the time it reached the bottom it would be a perfect sphere. Sadly, that's all that's left today. Now it's modern apartments opposite a new modern Waitrose. All very plush nowadays. The old warehouses in Chester have now been converted. Many of them are now flats or offices, many with restaurants and bars underneath. This one was a very famous Indian restaurant, now closed. And the next one, just up here, Harker's Arms. Very popular with the clubbers as a starting point before they go in the nightclubs. Very good pub, do some really good beer in here, but very lively during the weekends. I wouldn't advise mooring up outside here on a Saturday night. This old willow has been growing over the years, almost like a curtain or an entrance to the city. Rite of passage once you come through. Old Smudge loves to try and grab hold of them, but there you go. And I can see the moorings now where we're going to end up, and there's 3 moorings all the way along. So I'm going to put the phone down for a minute. This is the big hotel in Chester, the Mill Hotel, and if you've come to Chester, no doubt you will have passed the restaurant boat. They do very nice meals on board here. Chris and I have been on it several times, and you do your main course going in one direction, come back to the hotel, you get your dessert, and then carry on the other way towards Ellesmere Port. Interesting, this boat, because it's they can't wind it. It has a rudder at either end of the boat. Now, I don't know if you noticed when I started filming, there's a little arrow on the bows. That tells the helmsman which way the rudder at the bow is facing. We're in the middle of the week, but I have never seen the moorings in Chester this empty. Only one boat on the whole stretch. Normally it's boats wall to wall along here. We've finally got moored up in Chester town centre. There's Amy Jo there. The bridge ahead of her is Cowlane Bridge. There's a winding hole just behind her. And the big bingo hall in Chester. And of course Chugs moored up behind. I'm just going to go and spend the afternoon with Gary now till Chris gets home. Well, good morning, day 2 of our cruise, and we're just leaving Cowlane Bridge visitor moorings now, and we're going to head off down the Northgate locks into the Basin. Just a short run this morning because our 48 hours is now up. Just coming past another famous landmark in Chester, King Charles Tower. Now, it's said that King Charles saw his troops being defeated at the Battle of Waverton Moor, and if you're familiar with the area, that's near Waverton, so he would have had a good view from the top there. That would have been long before these buildings were built, but makes up part of the city walls and is well worth a visit. There are a bit of a museum inside when it's open. There's not a lot in there, but it does tell the history. And the canal's now just coming round towards the new student apartments, of which there are now numerous in Chester. This section of the wall is very good because it shows all the pickaxe marks from when the navvies were digging out this. People don't seem to realise when they come through Chester and walk the walls that this was a cut that was dug out by hand with nothing more than pickaxes. It must have taken the navvies months, and it must have been sheer hard labour for them to do that. And above us is the most famous bridge, most photographed in Chester, the Bridge of Sighs. Stories tell that condemned prisoners were walked across this bridge to the neighbouring hospital to say their last rites, and you could hear them sighing as they came back for their execution. Always cold under this bridge for some reason, pretty spooky. There's Gary coming through behind, bringing up the rear. He'll be coming under the bridge himself very soon. Bottom chambers are empty, which they both are. We've got Amy Jo and Chugs in the lock. There's only one paddle working on these. So these locks, although deep, are one of the gentlest set of locks on this stretch of the canal. And Gary there on the back of Chugs, and we've roped the two boats together by the centre lines. I'm working the locks, and then when the time comes, Gary's just nudging the boats forward into the next chamber. And bless him, Smudge has found some shade in a nice cool spot. Close chamber down. Gary's now moving both boats into the next pound, ready to go down the second chamber. Into this one, which is now full from the top lock. Taking it nice and easy. He doesn't want to bump the gates at the far end. Have a bit of shade for you in a minute, Doug. And of course our mate, the pigeon's still with us. He's been riding these gates now when we've been up and down them for nearly 4 years. He just sits on the end of the gate. He's just hopped down, there he is. Very daunting locks these for some people because of the size of those gates. Very imposing. But you've only dropped 10, 12 feet. It's just a normal chamber. It's just that the other gates make it look deeper than it actually is. See from here another deep set of lock gates, only because they're holding back the water from the chamber above, and it's about another 12-foot drop. Gary's dwarfed down there to the gates. He looks tiny from here compared to them. But as big as they are, you can turn them quite easily. And that's it, we're now through the third chamber. Gary's just pulling the boats out of the final chamber. And then it's a short leg into the basin. But from now on, all new waters for Gary. Time now for our non-boaters section, and in this occasion we're going to start to have a look at the electrics on a boat. Now, I'm no expert on electrics by any means, and we're not going to go into really deep technical detail. It's just going to be a very short, simple overview of the basic layout of electrics on a narrowboat. So, unless connected to a shoreline and two 40-volt mains, most of the power from a narrowboat comes from its batteries. And in this example we have one 12-volt battery with a 110 amp hour capacity. That basically means if we draw 1 amp from the battery, it should last about 110 hours. Conversely, if we draw 110 amps from the battery, it should last 1 hour. Depending on the load required on the boat, we can add more batteries in series to increase the capacity. 6 batteries in series would give us 660 amp hours, which would be quite sufficient for a normal narrowboat. Starting off with our battery bank, where we store all our power, we then connect this up usually to a data link box, where all the connections come in from all the 12-volt requirements. This in turn is connected up to a battery monitor to show us how much voltage is in the batteries and what we're using. For 240-volt AC, we can then go through an inverter that steps up the 12-volt to 240 volts, so we can run things like chargers for laptops and mobile phones, etc. And in Amy Jo's case, a 240-volt TV. All this is monitored by a colour display that shows us exactly what's going on throughout the electric system. There are other variations of this, of course, but this is what we have on Amy Jo. Now, when we're moored up, we have a bank of 4 solar panels that provide solar power when the sun is shining. And for Amy Jo, we have about 660 amp hours of solar power. These go through a isolation switch in case we need to disconnect them. And the voltage is then controlled via a MPPT controller. I wouldn't get too worried about what MPPT means. Finally, when the engine's running, we have an alternator which also is used to charge the batteries. Well, that's it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. We had great fun coming down through the 5 locks with Gary, and we've actually started to cruise now on waters that Gary's not been on before. And I know he's really looking forward to the next section of our cruise. But I do have an apology to make to you. I do apologise about the quality of the audio in the last video. Somebody said that the wind noise was getting unbearable and the audio wasn't very good. So I'm hoping to improve on that on this vlog. I've got a new microphone, so fingers crossed for that the audio is now much better. And I've also been asked by several people how we came about to come up with the name Amy Jo. So I'll let Chris explain that one.
Well, we tried variation of all our names, Steve, Chris, Amy and Joanne. Nothing suited. We couldn't find anything that we liked. And then one day I was cooking Sunday Sunday dinner, and I shouted to the girls, Amy Jo, dinner's ready. And Steve said, that's it.
Got it. So that's how the name Amy Jo came about. It's actually the combination of our two girls, Amy, who's our eldest one, and Joanne, who's our youngest one. So that's how she got her name. So that's it for this one. We've got another one coming up very soon, also with Gary in tow, well, not in tow, but cruising with us. So we're going to head on up towards Ellesmere Port and the historic museum up there.
And
So-
I might join them this time.
Oh yes, yes. We're doing this over the weekend, so Chris will be able to come along and enjoy the ride this time.
For a change. And then I won't have to use my phone to find out where he is at the end of the day when I finish work.
Yeah, Chris has to track Amy Jo to find out where I am when I'm all up at the end of the day. But I do text her. I do
He
text her.
does.
So, well, that's it for now then, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed this vlog, and if you did, don't forget to give us the thumbs up. And if you want to continue following us, please do subscribe. It really does help. And also, if you want notifications of our new blogs, of course, hit the bell icon and you'll be told when we post a new video. And like I said last time, it doesn't cost you a penny. It's absolutely free. So it's well worth doing. So that's it for now.
Yeah.
Do stay safe, and we'll see you on the next edition of Life on Board Amy Jo. Bye.
Bye.